I think for me, it sort of opened my eyes to like being comfortable going abroad, which I think's probably one of the main things why they do these trips. After like sitting down with myself, it's an offer that I literally can't refuse to take.
Welcome to Series 4 of the Student Connect podcast. We're excited to be here for our 4th series. I'm Curtis, an esports student at Staffordshire University.
And I'm T, an illustration student at Staffordshire University. We're your student hosts of the Student Connect podcast. This podcast is created in association with Staffordshire University and hosted by our student content team.
It is a student-led podcast which shares the experience of students progressing through university education and inviting experts from a variety of different life topics. In this series, we're going to be speaking with students and alumni of Staffordshire University about the extracurricular experience that universities bring to build your employability.
We want you to help shape the series, so if you'd like to join us as a guest, email us at comms@staffs.ac.uk or drop us a DM on social media. Please take a moment to leave a review or like wherever you're listening to help others find us. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe.
Along the way, we will endeavour to share honest stories, sometimes a little bit too honest, to explore the full experience that university offers. So, without further ado, let's get started. Today we are at the Ember Lounge, a nice student pub. You might see us here more often at night time. But a reminder that as we are in a public place, there may be a bit of background noise from passerbys.
Today we're exploring the exciting world of studying and working abroad.
That's right, T. Did you know that during your time with us, you have the chance to study and work abroad? It's an incredible opportunity to gain new skills, develop transversal skills, and really boost your employability.
No way.
Yeah, I know.
And it's not just about the professional benefits, it's also about the people you meet and the cultural awareness you develop. Whether you're in the cosmopolitan cities of Spain or navigating the bustling streets of Vietnam, you'll make new friends and immerse yourself in different cultures along the way.
So over the years, our students have travelled to amazing destinations around the world, all thanks to our global professional networks. So if you're looking to broaden your horizons, your networks, this episode's for you.
Stick around as we chat with Karl and Danny, two students who took advantage of this opportunity, travelled to Indonesia and built a friendship along the way. You won't want to miss their inspiring story. All right, Karl and Danny, welcome to the show.
Hello.
How are you both?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm
Good, thank you.
Good to hear. So, to start, can you just both share a little bit about yourself? So, what you're studying and why did you choose Staffs?
Do you want me to go first?
You go first.
So hi everyone, my name is Danny. I have just graduated from my undergraduate in PE and youth sport coaching. Got a first class honours. And then I'm going on to a postgraduate study for secondary physical education, which is basically just being a PE teacher. Was that all the questions?
Why did you choose Staffs?
Oh, why did I choose Staffs? There we go. I do have to get it. If you can't tell from my accent, I'm a local Stokey. I just wanted to stay local whilst going for further education. Higher education, not further education. Higher education. And yeah, Staffs was perfect for me.
And how about you, Karl?
Yeah, myself. So my name is Karl. I've just graduated from Fine Art Cell, and for choosing Staffs really, and the same. I'm local myself. So I actually had a bit of a broken journey into university. Actually, I started at Liverpool John Moores, then I transferred actually to Ian, and this was right choice at Staffs.
Nice.
So before the study abroad trip, have either of you travelled much?
I'd say yes. I know you have done, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been Wales a few times, Llandudno, Tenby. Well, no, because I've only been abroad twice. And before Indonesia, I went to Madrid in February, and that was the first time I went abroad. And I was using that as like my warm-up for Indonesia, but they're two very completely different places and cultures and everything in between. But it was just mainly for like getting used to like the airport stuff and like actually traveling and what I'd need and what I don't need. So yeah, I've only been abroad twice, but now I feel a lot more confident to go abroad, like on my own sort of like means. What about you?
Yeah, as for myself, I've definitely travelled quite a bit before. Only in the last few years I went abroad for the first time, probably similar to you, Danny. And then I've been to like Corfu, Greece, Spain, a few places here and there, but I realised from doing Indonesia, it's a completely different experience really. I've done like, typical British resorts abroad, and you get used to that, but then doing Indonesia, it's very different.
Yeah, very different.
So you both spoke about going to Indonesia. What was the experience like when you arrived, and what were your initial thoughts?
Oh,
It's a big
Where do we start?
oh my word! I mean, if we're talking about like the arrival and getting there, I felt famous. Like, just everyone's looking at you and they're just like taking photos and they're just staring at you, and I'm like,
Mister.
yeah, and like I've never been used to it before, and I'm like, I just couldn't understand it. It wasn't until like a few weeks in when we got to like know the Indonesian students from University of Staffordshire sort of like explained why. And it was just, it was so weird to get like used to, and like in the airport in like Surabaya in Indonesia, it was surreal. Like I can't really explain just how weird it felt. I don't know if you felt the same, but it was just really weird.
It's definitely not what I expected, to be fair. I don't know about you, but I had no idea in my head what to expect going to Indonesia, getting to the airport, and it was completely different once I got there. It was a very strange experience. Felt like I said, a celebrity, felt famous.
But like the other thing as well is that when we got there, so there was obviously you get off the plane, and that just before you get in your bags, there has the like citizens arrive, so like people of like obviously from Indonesia, and then the obviously people that are not from Indonesia, it just literally says on the board in big writing, foreigners. And I've read that and I'm like, you can't say that, because obviously if we're in England, if we obviously call someone who's not from, obviously originate from this country, a foreigner, like, you know, it's awful. Whereas like over there, they're just like, oh, there's a foreigner there. And you're like, hold on a minute. And like, it's dead weird, because for the first time like ever in my life, I've been called a foreigner. And like, obviously, you know, I know like racism unfortunately happens and stuff like that. And I know it's completely different, but like, I've been like sort of singled out for being different for the first time in my life. And I never knew how like weird it felt. Because to me, like, I'm just visiting your country. Like, why do you need to call me a foreigner? And like, it was really, really weird experience.
Yeah, we got very used to the word boule being thrown around a lot. Boule foreigner.
Yeah, foreigner,
a lot to us.
As soon as we found that out, like we
Yeah,
heard it
we
a
realised.
lot, like in the city and like the rural towns, just boule everywhere. Yeah, but they don't mean it in like a derogatory sort of way. They're just genuinely surprised about like more so like people that don't as such like look like them. Like that's what they'd say, not me personally. Being like visiting their country, like it's almost like, oh my god, they're visiting my country. Like they're happy about it in a way. It's just they use the term foreigners quite a lot. But we did sort of like try to explain to them like, try not to use that word, like just call us friends instead, you know, something a bit nicer.
We had to explain that, didn't we, how that would be seen as more of an offensive really in the UK compared to Indonesia. But
that's like some of the like initial reactions, like straight away from the get-go, definitely.
How did you two end up like meeting on the trip? Like, because obviously, have you ever crossed paths here before? Or?
No,
not in person. I knew about you obviously because of the social media stuff. So he was already famous anyway.
Sorry.
So I think a lot of the people on the trip already knew about Danny in some way because of the like social media, the stuff seeing Instagram, Staffordshire University and stuff. So we had an idea. But I think I maybe walked past you in like the Catalyst and things like briefly, but I never obviously spoke to you in person. But then we spoke probably the first time in Heathrow Airport.
To be fair though, like even because you have like pre-arrival meetings before you go. I mean, you got on really well in them. I came out of that room thinking, Karl, he's a top lad. He's a good lad. He's a good lad. He is. But it definitely wasn't until like Heathrow where obviously like you've got an opportunity to like talk a bit more, and you're not rushing around hectically. And how did it come about? Did you say the street that you lived on?
Well,
it was something like that, but then I recognised the street name and I'm like, I literally live like 5 minutes away from that. And then I asked you, is it this area? You're not going to say it like Like I said, is it this area? You're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh my word. Like never knew each other before, never spoke to each other before. And we're literally like 5 minutes away, like, down the road.
I think that's what we did. We mentioned that area and then we realised actually you're only up the road, I'm down the road. How have we never met?
Mental, but but there's good at cake shop.
Definitely good at cake shop. Definitely.
You're closer, which I'm a bit jealous about.
I should bring some over.
Because I have to drive to get to there, even though it's not that far. But it's like a 15-minute walk there and back, and
it's like
I want
2-minute walk for me.
Yes, I'm jealous. But then since we found that out, we've just been really good mates since, and then. We're going some concerts, aren't we?
Some concerts soon, yeah.
We've got some things like the same music taste, which is really good.
Who are you going to see?
So
it's like a Stone Roses tribute, isn't it?
Stone Roses tribute on Friday, actually.
This Friday coming.
And then we booked Blossoms, haven't we?
Yeah, we've got Blossoms in Stone.
Nice. Sounds good.
Yeah.
What would you say your most memorable experiences were whilst you're in Indonesia? Oh no.
Oh, here we go. Do you want like a nice, really nice one, or do you want like a funny one? Or
Honestly, give us a bit of both if you want.
Both. Oh, go on, Carl. You go for it.
Whatever you think's iconic, go for it.
Well, I won't mention the funny one. I'll let you mention that. I think I know what we're on about, but definitely Bromo. To be honest, early in the first week, we climbed Mount Bromo.
Yeah.
Went to a lot of viewpoints and saw the view of Indonesia, and it was also beautiful. And we had an idea what to expect. We've seen images of it and everything, but once we got to the top and saw the sunrise as well, early in the morning,
it was like no end.
Nothing we could have imagined. Yeah, it was so much better in person. Oh, that was definitely like highlight of the trip in general.
I remember FaceTiming my mum when the sunrise was coming up, and she got out of bed because obviously the time difference, it's like 6 hours. We're 6 hours behind, and she was just in bed. She's like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh, look at the sunrise!" And she's like, "I'm trying to sleep." I was like, "Sorry," because it's like 5 o'clock in the morning in Indonesia, which is like 11:30 at night, like back over here. But yeah, that was really good, Bromo. I mean, for me personally, I'd have wanted that towards the end because like it was that good. And like, because that was on the first week, my expectations they were still like, you know, they plateaued. They were still equally really, really good. But it was just, I think that would have been a really good like cherry on the top of just like all of it. But in terms of a funny moment, so how it works in Indonesia is your SIM card doesn't really work. And so you either have to obviously get a SIM card, a physical SIM card over there, or you get an eSIM. And you know, everyone on the trip's got an eSIM, apart from Karl. And so we've gone into this sort of really traditional like sort of market mall thing. They call it malls over there, and it's a shopping centre over here. Now most of the shopping centres are like, you know, like your typical like Arndale or like Trafford Centre, like really, really nice and modern. But this one was proper traditional, and it's hectic. It's very rammed. And so what does Karl decide to do? Karl decides, I'm going to go off with one of the other people who also don't have a SIM card. And he's never to be seen again, which is what we thought. And me and 2 others spent 2.5 hours in this mall trying to find him.
Sorry,
yeah, well, you better be. We're going up to different security guards, trying to like describe them. And again, as weird as this is going to sound, like we were pretty much the only sort of like white people in there, so we thought it'd be really, really easy. No, it was unbelievably hard. Like the security guards tried their best, but like it was just broken English. Or some of them didn't even understand what we were saying. So we're like, right, Google Translate. Even that was coming back broken, and it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare until we found a Dutch traveller who could speak really good English, and he sat next to you, didn't he? When you're having food. And if we didn't find that bloke, I don't think you'd have come back to England.
I'd be still there.
I think you'd still be there.
Well, you saved me. Thanks, Danny.
Yeah, so that's one of them. But there was just loads, weren't there? Like, I mean, I know we're on a time, but we could be here for hours talking about them easily. Yeah, but that's definitely one of the funny moments. Funny looking back. Not at the time. I was fuming at the time.
Bit different.
I put on my teacher voice to tell you off, but looking back, it was really.
I learned my lesson.
So it's a bit of a contrary to that, you know, it's a bit more serious. So how did this like experience challenge you personally? And like, was there anything outside your comfort zone that you weren't?
I think for me, the whole thing was outside of my comfort zone in general, really. I didn't expect to be going, you know, halfway across the world, like we're right next to Australia, really. And the whole thing just being, you know, living with students for a month, I wasn't prepared for that at all. I just threw myself into it. I think there's a lot of situations where I wasn't comfortable. If that was, you know, maybe living in, say, the same room for a month with a certain student, or you know, other things like that, or even just trying to communicate with the other students who might have broken English and that sort of thing. Just trying to get used to their culture, really, and language.
Yeah, well, for me, it would be the food. Like, Surabaya is known for like really like some of the best spicy food, and I'm just really boring, and I like my chicken to just be bland or like have a little bit of sweet seasoning, and it's just really hot. I remember I brought a hamburger and chips, and I got this red sauce, and obviously me being an idiot thinking it's ketchup, and it's hot chili sauce, and we got like stuff like that. And then like, so on the weekends you'd travel to different areas, and for me, once I'm settled somewhere, because obviously I've been settled in this like hotel for like Monday to Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday, I'm then going to a different hotel, and like for me that could be quite overwhelming. And I think it was the Bromo one, the hotel, like I got really overwhelmed. Like I got really upset, I started crying, I was just getting like really stressed. But I think it was good because it got me used to it, because by the last sort of one that we had to like move hotel, I was kind of used to it because I expected it to happen. But like even like that, like that was a big thing for me, because I once I'm in an area, I'm comfortable, I like being there, and I don't really like to sort of move. But yeah, that was one of them. Obviously like the food and just the different culture as well, because obviously how their day-to-day is completely different to over here. But I think I adapted to it quite quick. Would you
I think so. By the first week, it was the food was the main thing. Yeah. I think by the first week we started getting used to saying spice or no spice, judging where
spice or no spice.
Everything we received, you know.
Last thing is like breakfast, it'd be like chicken, rice, noodles, and I'm like, I just want a bowl of Cocoa Pops, you know, and some toast. I toast for only one day out of the 20 that we went, and that was when we were at the bottom of Bromo, and I had jam and everything, and it was immense. It was so good, so good.
We had so much rice, didn't we? Every day, rice on your plate.
There's a lot of rice. Yeah, but that's the thing though, like, because I was like in their culture, like they do have it with every meal, because it's just like easily accessible and like quite cheap. And it was sort of like, you know, I don't mind rice, but for every meal I'm like, because obviously that's the thing, like in England, like we tend to have different meals, like, you know, breakfast traditionally like either cereal or like maybe some pastries, and then lunch is usually like a sandwich or maybe an oatcake if you're feeling like that, and then obviously like tea is like usually the bigger meal, whereas like over there it's just rice with a meat, noodles with a meat, or rice with a meat again. It's like so weird, but yeah, that's some of the things. But again, like I said, we could go on for ages, couldn't we? Yeah. About just all the different things. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, how do you feel like the experience abroad has impacted your outlook on life and your future career aspirations? It's a very big one.
Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah.
I think it has changed my approach to some things like life or even like university. Really, I've got more of an open mind to things. I think before having that trip, I was quite straightforward in some ways, like even at university, quite academic. I'd go straightforward, you know, just study, do this and that. I was quite, you know, set straightforward, did it in one way sort of thing. But doing a trip like that, I realised to kind of learn to be open-minded to those sort of things, and, you know, take each day as it is, and you know, be open to learn these new things, really, especially in the sort of environment we were in Indonesia.
Yeah, it's just, I think for me, it sort of opened my eyes to like being comfortable going abroad, which I think's probably one of the main things why they do these trips. Yeah. Because like I say, like for me, like Madrid was the first time that I went abroad. That was through the uni, but going away for a month, like, because I remember when I got asked at first, and I was like, I don't want to do that. And then I spoke to my mum, and she was like, you'd be unbelievably stupid if you don't go. And obviously with like Global Connections, it's at a discounted price as well if you were to go normally. And like it's, after like sitting down with myself, it's like it's an offer that I literally can't refuse to take. So yeah, I'm glad, like, now I'm so glad that I did it, because it's just easily one of the best like experiences I've ever. And because obviously like the career and going into it, teaching, it being so hectic, I don't think I'll get an opportunity like that. Just take a month out. So I'm glad I did it. But it makes me wish that like I was more confident to do it in first year a little bit.
Okay. Fair enough.
So obviously you two have made pretty good friends pretty clearly. Would you say it's easy to forge those kind of friendships with everyone who went on the trip, and potentially, you know, people who were there just regularly?
Definitely, yeah. I think being that sort of trip where you're thrown into it and you've got to live with, you know, those students for a month and have fun and do all these activities and things, it's bound to happen. You're going to make some friends here and there, and we end up going out for drinks, you know, at night, hanging out on the evenings as well. And, you know, you really get to know each other. Yeah,
it's good. At first you sort of have like the smaller group sort of form, but like even by like the second week, like the groups will all just merge, and like you'll be like the first week you probably won't speak to someone, but like by the second or third week you'll just be speaking to. Because I noticed that in Madrid as well, like the first like 2 days, like because it was all from like the sport academy that I'm involved with. It's sort of the sort of groups of people that already know each other, but like that was only 5 days. That was on Monday and Tuesday. But like by Thursday and Friday, like we'd all just be talking like in random groups. We wouldn't need to be like with this person to do this. And I think because you're all sort of in the same boat doing the same thing, you just everyone just gets used to it because they know it'll be easier to just all get on together and all sort of work as a team, I suppose. But like even getting on with their students were brilliant.
Oh, they were great.
They were so iconic, weren't they? Like every single person had a different personality. And there was one in particular called Bagos, and he
needs a shout out.
You got to shout out Bagos. He was brilliant. If we could have brought him back to England, we would have done.
Definitely.
Because he was just like,
he was with us all the way. Wasn't
he? Like even if we were like going out to like a mall or like we went pool quite a few times, he'd be there. He would be there. He would be whatever social event we were doing. He would be there, and he was just, if we needed help with anything, or if there's a server, for example, in a restaurant that doesn't speak as good English, he'd translate for us. And rather than just him having a conversation in Indonesian, he'd tell us what they're saying. And I think that's really important because it keeps that conversation sort of going and helps us to try understand, because that's how we picked up on quite a few of the key words, didn't we? Like Pule, like when we kept hearing that and we asked him, he was like, oh, it means like foreigner, but it's like, he explained like, they don't mean it in like, oh my God, there's a foreigner in my country. They mean, oh my God, like there's a foreigner visiting my country. And like just the little things like that just made the experience like 10 times better. Absolutely. But yeah, all the students were brilliant. So good. Yeah, really good.
So how important do you feel building connections with people from different backgrounds is?
I guess personally, I didn't really think about it until after the trip, really. Like before that, I didn't really consider it, and didn't think it was too important necessarily. But then after that, I've realised after doing it, it is important to see how other people live, different cultures, different lifestyles. Definitely made me kind of rethink my own lifestyle, really, the sort of things that I do and what I take for granted, really. The sort of things they do every day, and the sort of things we get to do every day here at home, in the UK. It's like completely different lifestyle. So yeah.
And I think because like in Indonesia it is like a Muslim majority country, like I'm very fortunate, like when going to school, like I'd have friends who are like Muslims, and like I'd get to sort of be aware of like, Islam and like why they do things certain ways, but actually being in a country where it's sort like the main sort of culture, like it's completely different. Like hearing a prayer call 5 times a day on a tannoy, and you'd be in a shop, you'd be walking down like a street, or like even in your hotel you could hear it. And like at first I was like, do they get used to this? But like by like the second, third week, you wouldn't notice it because you've got used to it so much. And like obviously like the different sort of food over there, because obviously majority of the food over there is obviously like halal, and like getting like used to that as well. I mean, I know it's not majorly different, but like before, and like I sort of was aware of it, but I'll be honest, I probably didn't really care as much. Whereas now I've got such a bigger understanding of it and sort of awareness of like why they do things sort of certain ways.
Makes sense.
So obviously you both just finished your degree. Congratulations. So would you say this has been like the cherry on top of your studies?
I'd say definitely, yeah. It was like I think I was a bit worried with doing the trip. I nearly backed out of it at one point. Just obviously signing up to it around the December time the year before. I was thinking, it's going to clash from studies. I had my final assignments coming up to the flight date, really. So I nearly backed out. There was a point where I did tell them I couldn't do it, and luckily I changed my mind and made the decision. No, actually, I want to do it.
Silly.
No, I'm glad I did. If I didn't go, I don't know what I would have done. But then I think I got to had my final assignment. Must have been the day before the flight. So it would have been the Friday. I got my assignment in maybe 5 p.m. and got home, made sure case was packed, and got on the flight for like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. But it definitely was like, final assignment in, the cherry on top of my studies. It's like, now I can go and celebrate now and enjoy myself.
Yeah, I think I was meant to have a submission like whilst we were there, and I was like, oh no. But also I had like academic approval and stuff, so I was like, okay. But luckily, like my lecturers, they were like, yeah, we want you to go, and like so they moved that sort of assessment day to be obviously like way before I went on the trip, because they were like, we don't want you doing the assessment like a week before because you'll be stressed about it. So they were saying, we'll give you enough time to do the assessment, and then that'll be your last assessment. You can chill, ready for when you're up and coming to your trip. And I think like little things like that is why like I love being here at Staffs, and like why also I've chosen to stay on for my PGCE, because they're showing that care in a way, and like they're realising that I'm not just a student, like they're understanding that I'm just a person, and like they're trying to accommodate to my needs as best as possible. Because I was really stressed about that, but like all it took was just talking to them, and they wanted to support me. And I think a lot of the time, like, we can forget, like, lecturers want the best for us too. So just speak to them and just be honest with them, because like if I left that last minute, I know they would have been like, we can't really help you out now. But because I spoke to them when I was feeling what I was feeling, they could help me out straight away, and it just made it 10 times easier. But yeah, it was a cherry on top. It was so good, definitely so good. Yeah.
How do you plan to use your study abroad experience in your career moving forward?
Oh, see, I've got a good one for this.
You got a good one.
Because I'm going into teaching school trips. Now, if you speak to quite a few teachers, they hate school trips because you're dealing with kids constantly, and obviously it can be quite hectic. I mean, like Alton Towers, for example, I know that's not abroad, but like Alton Towers can be really hectic for a teacher, and you're just constantly doing head counts and telling kids, not do this, not do that. But if there were any international trips, I would 110% be up for doing them, because I've got so much confidence to like how an airport works, what time I need to get there, how like sort of not as much like how different cultures work, but to sort of embrace a different culture in a way. I think that's really important, and one of the big things that I've learned. And just looks like before, like in Indonesia especially, Madrid not so much, but Indonesia, like I didn't have any confidence to go abroad. Like I couldn't just book a flight and go to a European country or a South American country, whereas now I genuinely like really consider it, and I'd feel a lot more confident to do that, definitely.
Yeah, I think for himself really, it's made me, like I said, have that open mind to things really, compared to what I had before having the trip. So I think even in terms of career or university and things, I just want to throw myself into things what I never would have done before. I've even found myself trying to find what I can do next, how I can get abroad again, what opportunities I can find, how I can do that again, sort of thing, and get myself across the world, And I've been looking at even, opportunities abroad, to study abroad, to work abroad, sort of thing. I've been looking. I don't know if I'll go through them some yet. I've applied for a few things. But anyway. But I applied to one. It was like a Japan thing, teaching English in Japan. So one of those sorts of opportunities. That'd be a full year, but maybe not this year. Maybe in the next year or two. But that's definitely something I consider now, which I never would have considered before that trip at all.
Fingers crossed for you.
So what advice would you give to other people who are, thinking about doing this study abroad program?
Just do it.
I'd just say go for it. Exactly,
Just do it. Because this is the things, like in first year, I remember there was a Japan trip for, like, I think it was mainly for sports students, because one of my sport lecturers went on it and they stopped doing it. And like even in first year, I was like, oh, I'd love to go to Japan, but I never even like considered putting an application in. And like now, I regret that massively. And I think like if one of them does catch your eye, just go for it. And especially if you're in first year, because it's going to give you them transferable skills straight away off the bat. So then when you go into second year, you can make such a great impression straight away. But yeah, just go do it. Just do it. It's fun. It's good. And it's so cheap, and it's it's really organized as well. I think that's one thing that put me off a little bit, is how organized it's going to be. It was very structured. It's this is happening, this, and if there's any changes, you like let known like straight away. And yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah, definitely go straight for it. I think I was quite similar actually, going through like primary school, high school, college, whatever. All the trips, opportunities I had, really, I never really took. It was always that same situation where I had opportunities to go to like Spain, or it was even like an Africa opportunity in college, I believe, once, and I never even considered applying for it because I just thought, oh, that's not for me, I won't be comfortable there at all. I never really thought that would be for me, but I got to a point at university, it's like, oh, I regret not taking them chances, really. And I realised after doing Indonesia, there's nothing to be afraid of, really.
Yeah.
Right, so is there anything that you'd wish you knew before going on your trip that may be helpful to other students planning to travel abroad? I'm asking all the big questions.
Weird. What you should know? Oh, that's stumped me a bit. I think one thing that helped me is, so when I went to Indonesia, I tried to learn basic phrases of the language, and that helped massively. Like even just like please, thank you, excuse me, just little words like that, because like in Indonesia, they are not expecting at all me to say any Indonesian words, let alone like a sentence. So when I was like saying some of the words, and like eventually I could say like some of the numbers and like ask how much something is, like you could tell that they really appreciate it. And then it got to a point where instead of them replying in English, they'd reply in Indonesian, and I'd be like, okay, I don't know them words. I remember I asked how much something was, and she replied, I think it was like 8,500, but she obviously said it in Indonesian, and I was like, 8500, like obviously just like the numbers in Indonesian. She was like, yeah. I was like, oh, right, okay. But yeah, definitely try and learn basic phrases if you can, because that helps massively. And then like the students as well, they helped us to learn different phrases as well. So like Duolingo, for example, will teach you the very, very basic of phrases, but like the students taught us the sort of socially more accepted ways of doing it. So like, for example, so saying thank you in Indonesian is usually terima kasih, but the students are like, no, don't say it like that, because that's just like the very formal way. Just say makasih. And it's like, I wouldn't have known that if the students didn't tell me. And so yeah, they were really helpful with that, and I'd imagine that on any other like international studies they'd do the same probably. Yeah,
exactly. That's the thing. As much as I'm the type of person that throw myself into it, it's nice to be prepared for those sort of things, even if it's learning the language, that sort of thing. Even it might sound silly with the heat as well there. A lot of people weren't prepared for that. Obviously we all had a sun cream and things prepared, but certain people on certain trips come back a bit red raw, and they weren't prepared for the heat. It's different heat there, but
35 degrees.
Try to be prepared
every
really.
day. And like so your hotel room would be obviously like air conditioned, lovely, nice and cold, and you'd step into the hallway and it's just heat. Like literally, like if you open your hotel room door, heat will just hit you, and it's crazy. And then when you step outside, it's unbelievable. Like, you know, and like you've had oven on for quite a while, and you open the door, and it's like that, but constantly. And but like it was good over there because everything's really like obviously cheaper compared to like our sort of prices. So like you could get a cold Coke for like 25p, 50p, and it was bliss. I think a litre of Coke in the like local petrol station was 9,800, which I think's about 50p for a litre of Coke. I lived off Coke, full sugar Coke for like a month. And then another bit of advice is be careful what you eat and what you drink, because some of us, unfortunately, had to go to the hospital to get treatment. So mine was actually from the water, and it wasn't drinking the water. It was, we did rafting, and our raft fell in, and we were in this like stream of like a river. And if you know how rivers work, that's where people's getting rid stuff goes. That's the correct terminology. And some of us, unfortunately, ingested some of said water, and then some of us had to then go to the hospital. I had to pay 2.3 million rupiah, not pounds, rupiah, in like hospital fees, because obviously there's no NHS over there. God bless our NHS. I think that worked out at about £110, which isn't too bad. But the funny thing was, because the raft went over, my girlfriend Courtney also got ill, and she only had to pay £15, which I think was about 150,000, 200,000. So you can see the difference, and you could see why I wasn't expecting to pay so much money. But yeah, definitely look out for that, the water, because even like not just Indonesia, but like other countries, you might not be able to drink like the tap water, and obviously like the food as well. Like we were told, like weren't we, like the food vendors to be very careful, exactly, like what ones we go for, because we went to a lot of like the like local villages which are called kampungs. And like, bless them, they provide obviously like food and drinks, but obviously the drinks come from like their tap water. So like it felt horrible, like declining, like, I'm so sorry, I can't drink it. And they're like, why? We can drink it. And I'm like, I know, but your stomach's like made of like titanium, and ours is going to be rubbish. And like even some people like did try the food and drink, and they got ill. And proof's in the pudding there, isn't it? But like even like sometimes with the food, like you got to be very, very careful. And just make sure like you take like Imodium and like stuff like that. But again, I could be there for ages talking about all that.
Would you ever consider doing something similar to this again? But where would you want to go?
We'd definitely do it again for sure. But where I'd like to do somewhere different. Obviously, I'd love to go back to Indonesia, but I think even before applying to this opportunity, I saw things like Sri Lanka, Vietnam, all those sorts of things. I'd love to try something like that again if I could. The opportunity was there, definitely would.
Yeah. I'd like, I've been thinking about this like on like a sort of like 50-50 in my head of like teaching abroad, because like there are a lot of opportunities to do teaching abroad, whether that's like through the uni or like whatever, but I'd love to go to like New Zealand or Australia, because like over there like sports coaching and like teaching quality is like really, really good. So I'd consider over there. Or if not, possibly like in Europe, like as a English teacher / physical education. Because again, I know a lot of teachers over there will like teach English as like a GCSE, I know it's not GCSEs in Europe, but like a GCSE sort of subject. But obviously you have to be better with like the language that they speak. So yeah, but you know, I'd definitely consider it now doing the Indonesia trip. Absolutely, yeah. Would either of you two consider something like that?
I'll let you go first.
That's a hard one. I'd love to go to Sweden, because Sweden is very esports and they've got such amazing stuff for that. But obviously anywhere like Korea, Japan, esports is like the main thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can tell, but I'm very obsessed with esports. So being able to like experience that first time would be amazing. So I'd try and go somewhere like that.
What about you two?
So, oh gosh, it's going to be a very long thing, but technically after I finish uni I am looking at going and studying in Japan and Korea for a few months each.
Really?
It's probably like half a year. So I want to go to like some of the language schools. I am studying now. I'm studying Japanese. I've been for about 2 years now. Self-study. So I am planning to like go to the language schools and like live there for a little while, whether that be like doing a homestay or living with other students going. And then also, depending on how I find it and stuff, I might plan to live there longer afterwards and get a job there. I do art, so it's like and they've got a lot of like game companies and stuff in it. So it's quite a big thing.
Wow, that's cool.
Thank you.
Better than Stoke. No, I'm joking. Stoke's nothing's better than Stoke.
So my last question is, what are your next plans, and do you plan to keep travelling afterwards?
I'm sure both of you've moved on to you're moving on to further education, aren't you? I'm in a similar situation, but I'm planning to go for next year possibly to do my masters. Thinking of studying art therapy. That's the plan anyway. So I plan to gain experience until then. But I definitely consider traveling again. You know, I think since doing Indonesia in general, really, I've realised I've got the bug for it. Really, I just want to find any opportunity I can, do what I can to get abroad and just explore the world. Really, you know, do what I can now.
I mean, what a personal one for me is to go see football matches like abroad. So like when I went to Madrid, I went to go watch Atletico Madrid in the Copa del Rey. And it's quite funny this, because I went with like 3 others, and so they were said like, Atletico Madrid playing, and I was like, right, sounds. So I said to my roommate like, John can watch Atletico Madrid. He was not up for it at all. He's like, I'm not going there. And I'm like, right, fine, you be boring, I'll go by myself. So I got into like the taxi with the other 3, went up there, and obviously they were on like sort of the other side of the stadium, and like I was by myself, and they were like, are you going to be okay by yourself? And I'm like, yeah. And like, it's weird because I'm in a random country that I've never been before, in a random stadium I've never been before, watching a team I've never been before, and I'm around people I've never been before. And like, for me, that should be massive alarm bells going, but in my head I was just like, I go to football matches by myself sometimes in England, so why is it any different here? And so I found my seat dead easily, because obviously all the numbers are the same. And I've gone to the seat, and obviously everyone's looking at me like, this is where a load of season ticket holders sit, but because it was a cup match, season tickets don't count for that. And so a guy behind me tapped me on the shoulder and he just started speaking Spanish, and I'm like, I have no idea what he's saying. So I've gone like, no hablo español, which obviously means don't speak. So I say, I can speak other languages, not just speaking. And so then his sort of friend speaks like a little bit of English, and he was like, why are you sat there? And I was like, if this is my seat. And he's like, can you show me your ticket? I was like, yeah, I got the ticket up. And he's like, oh, right. And he had a little kid with him, and obviously, of course, I was stood right in front of the little kid. And I sat down, and he was like, can you move like next to me so the kid can see? And I'm like, I was like, yeah, that's fine. And then obviously there was an empty seat, and then I'm in that guy's seat, so then I had to move again. And it was just crazy. And then there was a fight in front of me because there was away fans like 2 rows in front of me. So then obviously the away team scored, and then they were all just kicking off. I was sat here like, None of these people speak English. I don't speak enough Spanish to save myself. So it was a different experience. And obviously, like, after the game, I had to go try find the others, and there was, like, I think there's about 69,000 people there watching it. So, and again, like, if I lose them, I can't exactly ask for help and speak English. So, like, have you seen these three people? Because I don't know what that is in Spanish.
Did you have a sim for that one?
Yeah, it was. No, luckily we said, like, to meet at a point before. But yeah, I'd like to go to different football matches in different countries. Sorry, I went on a massive tangent then. But I thought it was real. Because that was a part of an international studies as well. So. But yeah, different countries, different football stadiums. I had a conversation there. You go. Next for me in my career. So obviously doing the PGC, and then the main route is to go sort of down a doctorate route. From doing my, like, dissertation on basically how different genders experience, or different sexes experience, have different experiences in PE, and how that impacts their lifelong participation. I want to sort of build on from that, but I want teaching experience to sort of see directly how that's happening. Yeah. So it would be like going for a master's and then obviously doctorate potentially, or going straight into like a head teaching route. They're sort of the two options. But again, like, there is that part in the back of my mind that's like, why don't you go teaching abroad? Because that would be really good. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I've got options. It's just which one to pick at the moment. But I might do all three. You never know.
You've got time, yeah.
I've got time, yeah.
So, if today's episode has sparked your interest in studying or working abroad, don't hesitate to explore the opportunities available through Staffordshire University. Whether you're dreaming of exploring the new culture or boosting your employability, there's a programme out there for you.
So, and don't forget to reach out to the Global Connections team if you're curious about any questions about this, because from the looks of this, I'm curious now, and I'm probably going to reach out to them. So, they're here to help you make the most of your time at university.
Thanks again to Karl and Danny for sharing your experiences with us.
No, it's been good.
It's been nice having you here. And to our listeners as well, thank you for tuning in. And be sure to subscribe to the Student Connect podcast so you don't miss any of our upcoming episodes.
Yeah. So thank you, T, for helping me host.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you very much, Curtis.
There we are. So thank you to the Staffordshire University Media Centre. We've got these microphones that make us sound beautiful, and obviously everything behind the scenes. If you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, then please send us a direct message on social media. To find further support at university, you can visit staffs.ac.uk or your Student Connect team.
Don't forget to tell us what you think about the podcast so far by leaving a review, and let us know what your experiences have been. And yeah, thank you for joining us.
Bye. Bye.